Hello my dear students, in this class we will explore the fascinating world of plant tissues and animal tissues in a simple, clear and fun way, just like a science story. Tissues. Basically, tissue is a team of workers. A tissue is a group of similar cells performing a specific functions. Cells work together to perform a common function. Examples: epithelial tissue in humans, conducting tissues in plants, etc. Concept: tissues form organs which can perform specific functions in our body. Organs form organ systems like root and shoot systems in plants and digestive systems in animals. Organ system from an organism. Plant tissues basically two types: meristematic tissue, and it includes actively dividing cells, and permanent tissue, which includes specialized non-dividing cells. Meristematic tissue is found in growing part of plants like tips of roots, stems and branches. Cells are very actively dividing, contributing to plant growth. Chief characteristics of meristematic tissue are small cubical cells, thin cell walls, large nuclei, almost no vacuoles. Cells are tightly packed, there is no intercellular space. Cells actively divide to add new cells. New cells transform into permanent tissues. Types: meristematic tissue. On the basis of location, there are basically two types: apical meristem, which are found at the growing tips, and cambium or lateral meristem, which are involved in the increasing girth of stems. Apical or terminal meristem, they are found at the tip of roots, stems and young leaves. They are responsible for the increase in length of the plant. Cambium or lateral meristem, they are located below the bark and causes increase in diameter or girth of the stem, that is secondary growth of the plant. Permanent tissue, cells that lost the ability to divide, that is the cells of the permanent tissue. They are specialized to perform some permanent functions. It can be live with nucleus and it can be dead, that is without nucleus. Types of permanent tissue: permanent tissues are basically two types: protective tissue, where cells have thick walls. They are found on the surface of roots, stems and leaves. Their examples are epidermis, which secrete waxy cutin, that is waterproof substance, and cork, which has waterproof suberin. Supporting tissue, it provides mechanical support to the plant. Now we'll discuss about the types of different types of permanent tissue. Number one is parenchyma. It is thin walled, oval or polygonal cells. The diagram is below the description. Have a single large vacuole. It is found in soft parts like cortex, that is outer root or stem, and pith, that is the center region. It may store food. Example: potato tuber. It may perform photosynthesis if chloroplasts are present within the cell, and that kind of tissue is called as chlorenchyma. That is chloroplast containing parenchyma are called as chlorenchyma. It may also help in floating aquatic plants, that is the parenchyma containing air, so they are called as aerenchyma. Parenchyma, it is the thickening of cell corners, thickening at cell corners. Due to uneven thickening, these things happen. It has elongated cells. They are found in leaf stalks and below epidermis. They provide flexible support. Sclerenchyma, the third type of tissue, permanent tissue. They have dead cells. They are very thick walls due to lignin. Due to deposition of lignin, they are found in stems and veins of leaves. They provide rigid and hard support. The types include fibers and sclerites, such as stone cells. Fibers and stones. Fibers are used in ropes, mats, textile, example jute, etc. And stone cell or sclerites, they are present in gritty fruits like pear, that is part of sclerenchyma. Now we'll go the summary. Simple permanent tissue are of three types. Parenchyma is the living tissue. It has thin cell wall and its function is storage and photosynthesis. Chlorenchyma is also living tissue. They are thick at corners and they provide flexible support. Sclerenchyma is basically dead tissue and it has a thick cell wall, lignin, where lignin is deposited, and its function is rigid support. Now we'll describe the conducting tissue of the plant. Like vascular tissue, it provides passage for water and dissolved minerals, that is upward movement, it causes by xylem, and food or organic nutrients transport, it is called as downward movement via phloem. Xylem is made up of elongated thick walled dead cells forming tubular structures. Transport water and dissolved minerals upward from roots to other plant parts. Main components of xylem: Tracheids, they are long dead cells with tapering ends and large cavities. Their cell walls are highly lignified, they provide support. They transport water and minerals. Xylem vessels or tracheids, tube-like long structure, they are made up of dead elongated cells placed end to end. They are lignified walls with perforation plates. They form a continuous pipeline for water conduction. Xylem parenchyma, they are living cells. They store food like starch, sugar. They also help in conduction of water and minerals. Xylem fibers provide mechanical support. Phloem. It transports prepared food, that is sugar, from leaves to other plant parts, including storage and growing region. Movement is generally downward, but it can be bidirectional. Main components of phloem are sieve tubes, which have long tubes with sieve plates at intervals. They have no nucleus and is responsible for conduction of food. Companion cell, they assist sieve tubes with metabolic functions. Phloem parenchyma, it has living cells and which is involved in food storage. Phloem fiber, it provides mechanical support and only dead cells are found in phloem. Summary chart. Xylem, main function of xylem is transport of water and minerals. Its direction is upward. Cell types, it contains tracheid, vessels, xylem parenchyma and fibers. It is mostly dead except parenchyma. Phloenchyma. Phloenchyma, it is responsible for transport of food. Its direction is downward, mostly downward direction. Its cell types include sieve tube, companion cell, phloem parenchyma, phloem fibers, etc. It is that the tissue cells are mostly living except fibers. Phloem cells, sieve tube made up of elongated cells joined end to end. End walls are perforated or sieve plates. The function, it is responsible for transport of food from leaves to other plant parts. Companion cells, there are the living parenchyma cells associated with sieve tubes and they help in functioning of the sieve tube elements. Phloem parenchyma, it stores starch, fat and other organic molecules or materials. It's a living tissue. Phloem fiber, it is sclerenchymatous or dead cells. It provides support. So xylem and phloem basically together from vascular bundles which run through stems, roots and leaves. So what are the summary of plant tissues? Plant tissues are basically two types: meristematic and permanent tissue. Meristematic tissue are actively dividing cells. They are found at all growing points. Permanent tissue are the non-dividing cells, the particular shapes and permanent functions. Permanent tissues are of three types: protective tissue, that is simple, epidermis at surface of roots, stems and leaves. Supportive tissue, there are three types: parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. And conductive tissue is again of two types: xylem and phloem. Parenchyma is the soft filling plant tissue, collenchyma is the elongated, thickened cells. Sclerenchyma is also thickened and lignified cell walls. Conducting tissue, xylem. Xylem is basically water conducting tissue. It has tracheids, vessels, xylem parenchyma, and phloem contains sieve tube which is joined end to end through clusters of pores. It has companion cells and phloem parenchyma. Now let's study animal tissue. Types of animal tissue. There are four types of animal tissue, like epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscle tissue and neural tissue. Epithelial tissue, they have thin protective continuous sheets of cells. They are located covers body surfaces, lines body cavities and different organs. Examples include skin, mouth, lungs, stomach, lining, etc. The shape can be flat, cuboidal or columnar. Their function is protection, that is skin, absorption, that is intestine, and secretion is the function of glands, and sensory perception. Squamous epithelium, it has flat cells which is closely packed, found in regions requiring passive diffusion such as alveoli. They are found in mouth, nasal cavity, blood vessels and limb vessels. They provide protection from mechanical injury, germs, harmful chemicals and drying up. Stratified epithelium, it is found in the skin and cornea. They are made up of several layers such as strata of cells. They are protective in function. Cuboidal epithelium, they are found in kidney tubules, salivary glands, pancreatic ducts, etc. Then basically cube-like cells. Columnar epithelium, there are taller and brick-like cells found in the stomach and intestine. They help in absorption and secretion. There are basically two types of columnar cells: ciliated columnar epithelium and glandular epithelium. Ciliated columnar epithelium is found in trachea, that is windpipe, and has hair-like structures called cilia that move materials like mucus or dust. Glandular epithelium, it is modified columnar cells forming glands like sweat and salivary, and it is responsible for secretion. Connective tissue binds, support and protects other tissues and organs. Their main characteristics include abundant intercellular matrix, fewer cells and presence of fibers. Types of connective tissue. Connective tissue can be classified into three types. There is connective tissue proper, which serves for packing and binding the organs. Supporting connective tissue, it gives support like cartilage and bones. Fluid connective tissue, it includes blood and lymph. Connective tissue proper, it is used for packing, binding organs. The subtypes are areolar tissue, that is packing tissue. They are mostly widespread. They are found under skin and around organs. They are flexible and helps resist pulling stress. The adipose tissue, that is also called as fat tissue, they store fat, provide padding, insulation and protection, found under skin, around kidneys and eyeballs, etc. The fibrous connective tissue, they are made up of fibers and fibroblasts. They are found in tendons, that is connection between muscle and bone, and the ligaments, that is connection between two bones. Supportive connective tissue, cartilage, they are basically non-porous, flexible, and the cells embedded in a matrix with empty lacuna or spaces. Their matrix has chondrine protein, which is firm but flexible. They are found in ear, nose, trachea and joints. It provides flexibility and support as their function. Bone, it is rigid and strongest connective tissue. It contains Haversian canal or concentric lamellae and bone cells called as osteocytes. Their matrix made up of calcium and phosphorus salts. It contains cells called osteoblasts. Their function provides structural support, protection and aids in movement. These are the images of cartilage and bone, and the lower one is the bone cells. Fluid connective tissue, it is blood and lymph. Blood composed of plasma, which is the liquid portion, and cells include the red blood cells, white blood cells and platelet. Their function is to transport gases, nutrients and waste, protect against infection. Lymph, it is derived from the blood plasma, which contains WBCs but no RBCs are there. The functions include support immunity and transportation. Both blood and lymph are mainly concerned with transportation and also with the immunity, that is protection against disease. Muscle tissue, the muscle functions help in body movement by contraction and relaxation. Three types of muscle tissue: striated or skeletal muscles. They are under voluntary control. They appear striped or striated appearance. Long cylindrical cells with multiple nuclei. They are found in arms, legs, face, neck, etc. They are fast contractions but fragile, fatigue quickly. Unstriated or smooth muscles, they are contains involuntary muscles or under conscious control. Spindle cells with a single nucleus, they are found in internal organs like intestine, stomach, etc. They show slow and rhythmic contractions. Cardiac muscles, it is involved only during cardiac contraction and relaxation, so it is found in heart. It is involuntary but it is striated. The cells are branched and interconnected with intercalated discs. The rhythmic contractions do not get tired of. They can contract without external stimulation. Neural tissue or nerve tissue, it forms the nervous system composed of neurons, which are specialized elongated cells. This is the image of a nerve cell or neuron. Its main parts include cell body, that is pericardium or cyton or soma, which contains the nucleus. Dendron or dendrites, it is a half-like extensions receiving impulses. Action, it is long fiber conducting impulses away. And myelin sheath, node of Renfrew, action endings, etc. Function, perception and response of coordination in animals. The actions can be extremely long, that is could be 3 meters long in elephants. Now this is the summary of the various categories of animal tissues. Animal tissues are 4 types: epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscle tissue and nervous tissue. Nervous tissue consists of the neurons, which are the action of neurons from nervous fiber. Muscular tissue, there are 3 types: striated or voluntary or striped muscle, unstriated or unstriped or involuntary muscle, and cardiac or striated or involuntary muscle. আচ্ছা, এবার আমরা আসছি কানেকটিভ টিস্যু। তো ফ্লুইড কানেকটিভ টিস্যু, সেকেন্ড ওয়ান ইজ দ্য কার্টিলেজ, বোন, blood, lymph, etc. These are the fluid connective tissue. It contains of fluid connective tissue, not only fluid connective tissue, it contains tendons, ligaments, fascia, adipose, etc. Epithelial tissue is the follow the thin protection, thin protective layer. There are several types: squamous epithelium, stratified epithelium, cuboidal epithelium, columnar epithelium and glandular epithelium. Similar cells packed together to form a tissue. Different tissues arranged together form an organ, and related organs together constitute an organ system. Animal tissues comprises epithelial, connective, muscular and nerve tissue, and plant tissue are of basically 2 types: meristematic tissue and permanent tissue. Permanent tissues include protective tissue like epidermis, supporting tissue and conducting tissue. Thank you my dear students, all the best for your studies. Stay focused and keep shining. If you found this class helpful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more. Drop your questions or feedback in the comments below. See you next video. Until then, take care and keep learning.